Welcome to the Junior Golf Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping parents and juniors navigate through the journey of junior golf. From fitness to mental coaching, we cover it all on this podcast. Here's your host, Ro Thompson.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning into the Junior Golf Podcast. My name is Ro Thompson. I'm your host for this podcast. I've got a special guest that's going to be on the podcast today, and she is the founder of I Love to Watch You Play. And we want to bring up none other than Asia Mape. Hey, Asia.
Hi, Ro. It's nice to meet you and be on your podcast. Me and my dog Finley back there will be. We're super happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thanks for being on. We have to get her on the podcast soon, right? Right.
She took a prime spot, right? Look at that.
I see. That's awesome.
She knows.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do the podcast. And, you know, of course, our good friend, Mark, and, you know, he gave us a great introduction. And I always like to thank Mark for all his great introductions to people all across the country. So before we get into, you know, I love to watch you play and the website and the blog and the whole nine. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Asia.
So, you know, I started playing sports from a really young age. I have two older brothers, and you know, just trying to keep up with them and running around the streets of Detroit and then Washington, D.C. area. And really, you know, I think they were sort of my inspiration for being good at sports. I really did want to compete with them, play with them. I wanted to be included in all their games. And so, you know, that's kind of how it started. And I found I was pretty good at basketball and spent a lot of time out the outdoor courts, just sort of working on my game, playing against whoever would show up, and really loved sports. I fell in love with it. And, you know, for college, I was thinking about going into journalism and giving up sports, but I ended up going to play college basketball just at Coastal Carolina. It's a small Division I school in the South. And I played there, and then ended up transferring to Michigan and not playing basketball any longer. But that love of sports was definitely cemented. And I worked in sports television after that for many, many years, and, you know, worked Super Bowls and Olympics and NBA playoffs and, you know, just about everything you can imagine. And so sports has always really been a big part of my life. You know, if you look at like my wedding party, all the girls from, you know, that were my bridesmaids are all former athletes I played with, just about every single one of them. And I had, I think, 6. You know, it's been my career. It's been pretty much everything. And I've gotten so much from it. And so I really love it. And eventually I started having my own kids, and a friend of mine approached me at the time and said, let's do something for you sports parents. It's kind of crazy and a little out of control. And, right, you know, I don't know, we could create some content around it. And so we really started it just as a passion project. And we both fell in love with it. And I think it's really helped me grow as a sports parent. I think I had a lot to learn. You know, I was very competitive. I kind of had grown up, you know, producing and interviewing and talking to all these amazing athletes and being on the sidelines for all these, you know, incredible events. And it really didn't have a great perspective of what it took to really raise athletes of my own. And so, whereas it's been helpful for parents, and that's why I do it, and what I love about it, it's also been really helpful for myself.
That is awesome. And I heard you mention Coastal Carolina. So just so you know, my daughter's at Coastal Carolina. She's in her sophomore year at Coastal.
Really?
Yes. And my son, you know, he's the junior golfer. He's the reason I started the podcast. He wants to play golf at Coastal Carolina. So that's one of his goals.
Well, Myrtle Beach is the golf capital of the world, right? Is that still true? It was when I was there.
Yes. Yeah, they have over 100 courses in the Myrtle Beach area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's amazing. What a small world. Coastal was a great experience for me. So it's exciting that maybe he'll end up there with your daughter. That's cool.
Yeah, you never know. She's a sophomore, and he's a sophomore in high school, so they may just
Oh,
miss.
it won't cross. Well, okay.
Right.
All right.
Right. But yeah,
Grad school.
Myrtle Beach is a great area. We love Myrtle Beach, and we'll be down there in a few weeks. Hanging out with my daughter, playing golf, and doing whatever else comes up. While we're there. So
Nice.
yes, yes. So tell us why you chose to start the blog and the website. I love to watch you play.
So the name came from John O'Sullivan. I don't know if you've heard of him. He is like a big time player in the youth sports world, and he had done a TED talk. And in the TED talk, he talks about, his website is Changing the Game Project. In the TED talk, he speaks about, a study that was done, and it wasn't his study, but he kind of goes through it in this TED talk. And it was the only thing that kids really want to hear from their parents is that I love to watch you play. And so, we decided to call our website and name it after that because it just made so much sense. I mean, a lot of people at the time were like, you can't call a website by a huge long name and whatever. But you know what? I think
Right.
people get it. The point is really obvious, and it stuck. And so really that's what it's all about. It's helping parents kind of go back to the roots of why kids should play sports.
Right.
I think we often get caught up a lot of times, and everyone has their own sort of poison, right? Of what makes them crazy. Some people it's yelling and screaming at the refs. Some it's,
Right.
more personal with their kids. But I think we all kind of lose our way a little bit in youth sports. It really sort of brings out the worst in parents, and it's supposed to bring out the best, right? And for the kids, hopefully, I really kind of think about everything I put on the site is really about the kids, but I'm speaking to the parents because we are their greatest influencers, and we really have a lot of ways we can either help make their journey really positive and amazing, or, as a post I just put up about, like, I think I really contributed to my oldest daughter quitting sports. So I think parents and coaches too have a lot of power on this journey. And so I've kind of chosen to focus everything really, funneling it right to the parents and what we can do to help support them too. Because look, Ro, I think this and feel this. We all want to do what's right.
Yeah.
We love our kids. There's no parent I've ever met that is like, trying to sabotage or trying to make it hard for them or trying to give them anxiety. But we all kind of just we get lost a little bit. And so really that's what the website is really all about, is helping support parents. And a lot of it is done through my own experiences raising 3 daughters who, all play at really top levels in sports. One of them no longer, but 2 of them still do.
Yeah, I gotta say that I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and there's so many junior parents that you can help, because when it comes to golf, we don't have to yell at the referees, but we sometimes we want to yell at the kids. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we want the kids to have a great experience. We love them, and we want them to enjoy the sport, and we don't want them to quit. And sometimes, like you just said, we can drive the kids to want to quit. And so that's the one thing that I learned from our Mark McKinney is, just make sure they're hydrated, make sure they have, food, and, make some snacks and whatnot, and just enjoy the journey. And like you said, don't get so lost in, being frustrated. It's a little frustrating when our juniors put a lot of time into the game, but they're not intentionally trying to make mistakes. They're not trying to hit bad shots and miss putts.
Exactly.
They're not trying to. It's just it happens. Golf it's a tough sport, So
no, you're so right. You're so right. And I think that's where we get tripped up a lot of the time, is and I write a lot about this sort of pressure versus support, right? And they look kind of similar from the outside, but they're actually very different. And, I spend a lot of time on this subject matter, and, it really isn't like you're thinking about, like I think about soccer and my daughter, if she's having a tough game, right? And she knows she's having a tough game. She knows, like, it's not like it's our job to, be on them about when they're not playing well. When they look up, what they need is support. They need to see your face in the crowd smiling back at them and supportive, and know that when they get off the field or court and get in the car, you're not going to be berating them or asking them questions even, or, it's like you have to be like their soft landing, not their, and it's not to say that, yeah, it's not to say that parents shouldn't give nudges and pushes, and, when you can see that your kid is, losing focus, there is this thing where they're kids, right? So they get distracted, things happen. You have to really listen to them, support what they want. And if they're saying they want to end up going to Coastal Carolina to play golf, then you sometimes need to push back to, like, okay, well, then let's maybe focus and get to that practice or whatever. But if they're telling you that they're having doubts now and they need a rest, or they're tired, or you can just see it in their behavior, then you have to listen to that as well. Like, we have to be open to where they're at in their journey, because it's a long, winding road, and we have to be supportive of what they want, not what we want.
That's correct. I mean, you're really talking to a lot of people in the junior, not just golf. It could be basketball, it could be soccer, it could be baseball. Because again, at the end of the day, we want our kids to win, and when they don't win, we're a little disappointed. But we have to, as parents, and you can probably add to this, we have to contain ourselves. We have to, control our anger, and, like you said, be happy, smile when they, because see, here's the thing that my wife taught me. She said, when John hits a bad shot, he's going to look directly at you to see what reaction you have on your face. So what I've learned to do is I just learned to stay 250 yards down the fairway. That way he won't even see my face. I can just, walk, take me a couple of deep breaths, and,
Well, that's smart. It's all about finding what works for you, right? Like, I wrote an article about one time, my mom was visiting, and she's older, and so she couldn't really sit in the sun next to the field on the soccer sideline. So we were kind of off and behind a tree in some shade, and watching the game from that perspective, where, like, you're not hearing the parents yell, you're not hearing people scream at the refs. There wasn't that, oh my God, my daughter just messed up and everyone's upset at her. It really took all that energy away. And for a while, that's how I watched games, because I don't think I was in a point where I could be a good smiling face on the sideline, right? Like, so you're doing that. It was kind of like me doing that. And it's smart to know what you need to do to be that supportive parent. And I'd say, like, for those that, like, do want to be right there and whatever, I don't think that, like, as parents, it seems like almost unrealistic to expect that someone's going to play poorly or hit a bad shot, and you'll be like, yay, my God. Inside, you might be feeling like, you have to be real, right? Like, inside, you might be frustrated with how they're playing. You might not be, like, super happy. But I think the key is really to have some space between the reaction and what happens. So now what I do is I'm sitting in the stands, and if there's something that, if we're having a bad game and my daughter's not playing well, I see it for what it is. I can kind of take a step back, so that I can have appropriate reactions. It's not that I'm not feeling frustrated. It's just that I know I'm now understanding, what that does and the detriment that it does, so that I can step back, collect, and I'm talking about within seconds. See the thought, see the feeling, then just be okay, because I know it's the right thing to do.
That's right. Well, I can't wait till you share your blog and website information. I had a chance to go to it, and I saw a lot of good material that we as parents could really utilize to help us through this journey? Because some of us, based on where our children are, whether it's elementary school or middle school, or high school, the journey goes by like that. And so it really, ends in a flicker, and you want to just be able to enjoy the journey, and you want the kids to be happy. You want to be happy because it can give you that healthy relationship between the parents and the junior kids. So
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, there's that kind of brings up one other point that I don't think we've really hit on yet. We've been talking about like having a bad experience and the kid quitting and feeling bad. But
Right.
the other thing that I really found firsthand too was when a parent is not handling the sports well, it can cause a lot of friction between the child and the parent. And it's so unnecessary, right? Like you said, it should be something that bonds us and that we are excited to like talk about and do together and whatever. But too often, and it happened with my oldest, it became such a source of friction that there were a lot of troubles within our relationship. And I think a lot of it had to do with sports.
Gotcha.
And so like you're talking about enjoying the journey and it goes by so fast, not only will you end that journey fast, but your relationship can suffer from it. So it's really important to kind of, take in a lot of these ideas about how to be a good sports parent, because I don't think it comes natural to a lot of people.
Yeah, this is going to be good for some parents out there. So talk us through, I know we're going to give the blog and the website out, but talk us through the website. Like when we go, how do we navigate? What are some good areas to go into?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great question. So when you log on to ilovetowatchyouplay.com, you'll see at the top is like just most recent blog posts.
Gotcha.
And so sometimes, you can just get caught up in something that catches your eye. But if you're looking for something specific, there's a search bar, and we have hundreds of articles on everything ranging from like how to help performance to confidence, mindset, to sleep, to coaches and dealing with bad coaches and dealing with great coaches and how to be coachable. Like there's something on every topic. So you can either search it, or if you go down a little bit more halfway through the website homepage, we break it off into categories. So there's like performance, mindset, parenting, productivity, and one other one I can't think of. But so if you need a little more help or you're just interested in sort of a category, you can click on that, and that'll bring up a lot of articles in that department or in that area.
I wanted to say, when I went to the website, I want to put a plug in for golf. I didn't see golf on the website.
Oh, really? We don't have golf? Well, I will check that. Let me write that. I'm gonna put it in my notes.
Yes. But maybe so. I mean, maybe I just didn't go into the right area, but
I hope you're wrong, but I will double check.
Yeah. Check it out when you get a chance.
I know we have articles about golf, but I don't know. I'll make sure we have a category. Yeah.
I didn't know if you had like different sports sections or whatnot, but
we do. You can type in a sport name and it should come up with articles under that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll look at that. So now describe, you talked a little bit earlier about your experience with your oldest daughter, but talk a little bit about your experience as a parent, having athletes as children, because you have three, right?
I have three. Yeah.
Right. So go ahead. Yeah. Talk about the different,
the difference.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a sophomore in college now. So she was a water polo player, and she's the one that I've been writing a lot about lately, just because she, really fell out of love with the sport, and it took a mental toll on her. I think it took a physical toll on her. It took a toll on our relationship. And so, I've asked her blessing, of course, to talk about all of this, but like, I learned a lot from parenting her, and a lot from my mistakes with her, and we speak freely about it. And we're still working through some of the stuff around sports. And I was not an awful parent. I'm not like crazy. I don't think I was like crazy. I'm not a screamer, whatever. But I think it was really that sort of support to pressure point. And I just put out an article that really kind of details the 5 things that I really think I did wrong, and that that hopefully will help other parents get right. And so that's the top post on the blog right now. And it seems to be, I'm getting a ton of feedback about that one. I think, you know, when you speak from the heart and you share, you know, some of your problems, it just, people really relate. And I think that article has really already hopefully helped some people, or at least that's the feedback that I've been hearing. But it also helped in how I'm raising my other two daughters, and I am by no means perfect, right? Like even even with going through that, I'm making mistakes all the time, and like I said, it's, you know, every game is a practice in my patience, and a practice in being present, and a practice in, it's a practice there. Like there is no like, oh, I'm here, you know, it's always sort of something I'm balancing and working on. And I think one of the main things, and my second daughter is about to go play soccer at Ohio State. And so she's had just a great run, but it was like this, up and down. And there was one year with a terrible coach, she almost was going to give up soccer. Like it is not easy. And, you know, it's like you're kind of working through it at every phase, and every, you know, it's just sort of every kind of, every sport, every child, every phase has its challenges. And, you know, I think we all just do the best we can do, but I do think that parents need to sort of educate themselves. I was at a soccer game last night, and it was brutal. I mean, I just, the parents, it is like, I just, it's unbelievable sometimes, just the things they're yelling and saying, and, you know, just the negativity. Yeah.
Did you want to go around and pass out cards to everybody?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and no, like I said, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but there's a lot of room to grow, I think, for a lot of people, including myself. But my youngest, she's a freshman in high school, and she's a volleyball player. And, you know, really, really talented and skilled. And so we're going to see, she's, you know, doing her thing and finding her way. And I'm trying to, like, you know, help her figure out. And I think, I guess if I had to say one piece of advice across all three that's like extremely important, is to keep talking to them about what their goals are. Not what your goals are, but what their goals are. Not just so that you keep straight on what their goals are, but their goals change. So like for my oldest, she was saying, oh, I want to play in college, I want to do this. So every, you know, a lot of our interactions and our, like, sort of, you know, talking and planning was based around that. Okay, well, you should go to this camp, you should do this. But at some point she changed, but we never really discussed it. You know what I mean? And so like, if you're, I feel like parents, we want to be supportive. If my youngest decides she wants to go into horseback riding or something, you know, then I'm going to be all in on helping her with that. It's like, we want to be supportive and helpful in whatever they do. But I think sometimes when their goals change, they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents. And I'm not saying mine, maybe, but everybody's. I've seen a few posts on this that blew my mind, where there's one in particular in Instagram, a kid put on there that it was actually silly and fun. He was saying his dad was telling him he couldn't quit sports or something. He had thousands of comments from other kids, and they weren't kidding. And it was like, I'm so sad. My mom won't let me quit. My dad is forcing me, my this, my that. I think kids feel really trapped by our expectations and what we're bringing to their sports. And so I think if you're trying to find that line between helping to support them and not pressuring them, it's just super important to keep reevaluating and talking to them about what they want, and making sure you're giving them the space to be honest about it, right? If your kid Ro knows that all you care about is he gets to Coastal Carolina and can start this path on, how easy do you think that will be of a conversation for him to have to tell you he doesn't want to play a year or whatever? Not easy, right? So somehow you have to make space so that they feel comfortable and confident. And I think it's in the day-to-day interactions about stuff. And I really went from one extreme to the other. And now it's like, if my daughter wants to take a day off or this, I'm like, yes. And you know what's funny? With the more you kind of loosen up, the more it becomes their own journey and they actually get ownership over it. And then what I've seen and experienced, and from what my friends have said too, then they actually really start sort of exploding in it on their own right.
Right.
But when it's your path and your journey, it's a struggle, and it's
Pressure.
usually not going to end well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that pressure. So let me ask you this: what's been your all-time favorite piece of advice as you built this website and built the blog? What's been your like favorite all-time piece of advice?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, I know this is probably, you know, a little obvious, but, you know, really just tell them you love to watch them play, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not much more else. It sort of encompasses a lot of stuff, but it's really simple, right? We're there to love them and support them and not give them advice and not berate them when things didn't go well and whatever. Just love them and tell them you love to watch them play.
Yeah, that's something that my wife says a lot. She always tells my son, I love to come watch you play. I'm the opposite, but she's like the one that
you balance each other.
Yeah, we balance each other because she'll she said, I just want to go to make sure he is hydrated and make sure he's
Exactly.
snacks and fruit and I just want to see
Yep.
and she's always been that way, and I'm the one that's bad shot.
Yeah.
Walk off pouting. I've been guilty of that before, but I've got to say I've gotten better.
Good.
And a lot of my guests have helped me through this journey of just trying to stay calm, and one of the things I realized too, Asia, is that I can't play as good as my son. And so that helps with containing my frustration.
Yes.
Just think about it. Can you play as good?
Right.
Can you play volleyball as good as your daughter? Can you play water polo as good as your daughter? Can you play soccer as good as your daughter? And that just
not even close.
Chill out. because you aren't that good either. So, that's kind of helped me with that frustration.
That's so smart. And it reminds me of another piece of advice that I have experienced and thought that I think would be good to share too, which is, so we're watching them play, right? And we used to really get on my oldest about effort. Oh my God, just right. That's the only thing you control. Effort. And I sometimes not be, but you know what? If you think about like your workout and you're going to work, you're going to go on the gym, the Peloton, whatever, your effort is all over the place, right? It depends on what you ate, how you slept, did you have a fight with your wife, is work hard right now, what's going on mentally. Sometimes it's there for you and sometimes it's just not. Like I can be just not have it. And then you throw in there these kids that are going through puberty, that have drama at school, have all this homework, they're doing all this stuff. And it's like the expectation that they're going to be giving this 100% effort. I mean, they're doing the best they can usually, right? No one wants to go out there and not do the best they can. So kind of to your point, not only can we not like play as good as them, but we also have to have like some grace when we're watching them not play well and think about what else is going on with them right now. And I think if parents really thought about that a little bit more, they'd have a little bit more grace around it.
That's exactly right. That's so true. I had the president of our South Carolina Junior Golf Association on my podcast, and he said, Ro, the kids aren't intentionally trying to make mistakes. They're not purposely trying to do bad. It's just, it's one of those things, and we can't expect the kids to be perfect, Right. So we just have to calm down, stay cool, and just understand that they are going to make some mistakes.
That's right.
Now, what are some of your fondest memories of sports with your kids? You're from your oldest to your youngest. What besides wanting them to play good, what's been like some of your favorites favorite times traveling with them, or going to watch them play? What's been your favorite parts of that journey?
Yeah. I think it's just the time that you get alone with them.
Right.
We did a lot of splitting up duties when they were younger, and even now, there's that time in the car. There's bonding through them through good and bad moments, right? No matter if it was, sometimes it's like getting through something after a bad weekend or a bad day or a bad game, and kind of working through it with them. I think that's why sports are so incredible, because it's testing you and it's pushing you on every level, right? Your mental, your physical. Like, if we're just all sitting home, on our iPhones and watching Netflix all weekend, we're just missing out on so many opportunities to learn and grow. And a lot of that, fortunately, gets to be done together when you have if you have the luxury of being able to travel with your kids. And even around here where I live, a lot of volleyball is all an hour away. Water polo is always really far away. Soccer can be. So you're doing a lot of good sort of alone time with your kids. I think those are kind of like the highlights and the special moments. We just had senior night for my daughter, and you try to fight back tears. It just goes in a flash. Yeah. It really does. I mean, I think if there's one memory that stands out for me, and I think it's because a friend of mine snapped a picture, and it wasn't my kid, but we were playing in the state champion, or state, they call it state tournament or something, for club soccer. And we had a really good high level team, and we just did not play well. We lost. And they're at this point, they're like 14-year-old girls, and there's a lot of tears being shed, and parents are pissed on the sideline. And my friend sitting next to me and I look up, and one girl puts out, as they're walking off the field, this is like right after the game, puts out her hand to a teammate, and they're just holding hands and walking to the bench. And she snapped a picture of it. And so I kind of have that ingrained. But that's what it's all about. There are warriors out there fighting, and they lost, they came up short, but you're supporting each other, and the friendships you make through it all. I don't know, that memory just sort of encapsulated that for me.
I know that's good. I know my fondest memories, and we have some more memories to create. It's just, going out of town, preparing, having a practice round, and just like you said, just really bonding, and, going out to eat, and, just really getting away, and just having that weekend to just be with each other. So that's good. That's really good.
You know what that reminds me too? I love that, just sort of sparked a memory, is a lot of mornings for volleyball and soccer, you're on the road before the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And in California, we're always going south for our games and our sports from where I live. And we see the most beautiful sunrises almost every time. And we talk about it, we ooh and we ah, and we take pictures and videos that never turn out that great, but those little moments, and it's so etched, it seems like almost every other weekend we're seeing one of those sunrises, and that's always so special.
That's right. Now, did you have anybody to help you with the project, Asia?
With I Love to Watch You Play?
Yes.
So I co-founded it originally with a woman I used to work with named Alex Flanagan, and she was an on-air person at NFL Network when we started, and I was a producer in sports, and so that's how we kind of met. And it was actually her idea to do something. She reached out to me. We had kids all around the same age, and she asked, she just said, let's do something around youth sports. This is so crazy. And so we started working together on it. A few years ago, she left the website and is doing going on to do some other great things. And so she's no longer involved, but we definitely relied on each other, and I needed her a lot when we first got it going.
Right. And didn't you say you did some production with the best
Oh, the best damn sports show, period.
Hey, listen, that was one of my favorite sports shows,
That was a good one.
years ago.
Yes.
Yes. Now they ended that show a while back, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been on in years, but
Yeah,
it was one of
remember.
my favorite jobs too. The
Was it?
craziness that would ensue on that show was pretty out of control. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you were a fan. I was too.
I was a big fan for sure. So, well, listen, you have really shared some valuable information
Good.
for our parents. And what's the best way the parents to be able to find you? Maybe on Instagram, your website, social media. What's the best way
Yeah.
for parents to find you?
So I love to watch you play.com, and it's all just written out.
Okay.
I love to watch you play.com. That's our website. And from there, it has all our social buttons on there.
Okay.
But Facebook, I'm pretty active on. I find that like a lot of parents still are on Facebook. And so I share a lot of things on Facebook, and that's just, I love to watch you play as well, written out. Our Instagram is at ILTWYP. So it's just the letters of I love to watch you play.
Okay.
And I have a Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff, and it's all on our website. You can easily get there from there.
Right. We just got to get you on TikTok, right?
Yeah, TikTok. I got to come up with some silly something. I don't know. I'm asking my kids, okay, now what do I do? How do I work this? So I'm starting to figure that one out.
Yeah, they have these. We talked about the social media managers earlier. They actually have they have a site called, I think it's called Plannable, and Plannable will allow you to do one post and it'll push it out on all the.
Oh yeah.
So that's another.
Yeah.
Thought. Yeah.
There's a bunch of cool things like that for sure.
It sure is. It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts, Asia, as we wrap up the Junior Golf Podcast this episode?
No, I think we covered a lot, and I really appreciate you having me on, and I hope it's helpful to your parents.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully, maybe I can write a blog or something on the site, and maybe
definitely
help some junior golf parents out.
I would love that.
Well, they teach me how to do it. I've never had a blog, or I've never been on the blog, so maybe you can kind of coach me through that process.
I will.
Good. All right. Thank you so much, Asia.
Thanks, Rose. So nice to meet you, and pleasure being on.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Junior Golf Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in this topic. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on any of our social media networks. See you next week for a new episode